What's up, people? How are you doing? Today we're gonna have a lot of fun. We got some, we've got a exemplar in the sneaker industry essentials course, streetwear industry essentials course. We've got Syn Martinez in the house. Okay, Syn, say what's up to the people.
Hey, what's going on, people? Let's talk.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. Let me lay down some ground rules for everybody, just so that they know what we're doing and know how this thing works. We've got right now a poll up. We want to know who you are, what you're doing, why, what course you're in. And so you're going to see these polls popping up periodically as this goes on. Another thing to remember: if you can chat in the chat room, but if you got a question, drop it into the Q&A tab that you should see there, and that lets us know that this is a specific question you want us to answer. And so we've got our friend Kristen, who's a part of our marketing department, who's in the house as well, and she's going to be trying to answer your questions, and she's going to be letting us know when we have questions. But right now, what I'd really like to do, Syn and I go way back in terms of this course. He took our course, crushed it. He's done boot camps with us, crushed them, and is an exemplar right now because he's got his deal. He's doing it. Syn, give them a quick synopsis of kind of your background in the industry, and let them know a little bit about who you are and what Afro Brutality is all about.
Well, hello. So I was a corporate guy about 25 years, and along the way, I was just super unhealthy. I was totally out of shape, so I did what I could to get into shape. And of course, along the way, I kind of discovered my own abilities, fitness-wise, and people started asking me, what was I doing? How did I do it? And from there, I was able to kind of create this business that I call Afro Brutality, and it's evolved from just physical fitness into mental health, mixed with the physical fitness. And it's all being tied back to the way that I was raised and my heritage from way back. So, it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to have gotten this far and to have done this, um, exactly the way I wanted to.
So tell me, man, how one of the things that I saw, when I first met you was I saw that you had a deep brand presence. You had developed your brand so well on social media, and you had multiple IG channels. Can you kind of talk to me about how you envision your brand, what the brand message is, and how did you come up with that strategy to be able to create all these different channels that are all bringing uplifting messages, all talking about health and helping people to mentally kind of challenge themselves and physically challenge themselves to be better people?
Hmm. That's a big mouthful. Let's see. So, in my industry, which is the fitness industry, there's a lot of, let's say, borrowing from one another. So when I came up with new ideas, I would see them all the way through. So I wouldn't just come up with an idea, let's say for a cooking show. I would research the name of the cooking show. I would go after the logo. I would buy the .com. I would make sure the IG was secured. And I would do that by myself with no one, I really wouldn't ask anyone's opinion. I would just run with it the way I saw fit with every single idea. So I had an idea for a radio show, .com, Instagram, Twitter, everything, make sure it's totally solidified. So by the time I presented it, it was a presented package. It wasn't just a mixed idea that didn't make sense. I made sure that every single faction that I dealt with within my business, I would somehow either control its outcome, be part of its messaging, or figure out a way to brand that together.
You know, I think that that's something that, our students, we're challenging them to do that with them as part of this course. We're challenging them to come up with their mood board, their feel, come up with their brand attributes, and in the sneaker school course, come up with their target audience. Who did you see as your target audience early on? And how did you make sure that you were reaching the right people with each of these channels?
Here we go. So it's sort of a nice little balance between, build it and they shall come, build what you want and they shall come,
Yeah, he's so
feel
good.
what you feel like you should and they should come, if that makes sense. So um, I was really just trying to please myself. And then from there, I went to, okay, let's see if I can please a few other people that were around me at the time in terms of athletes and designs and stuff like that. So I really started with me. And then I realized the more I got into myself and figured out a way to depict that, whether it was graphics or video, whatever the case is, the more I got into my own mind and figured out how to kind of contend with the things that I love, fitness, heavy metal, skulls, this type of thing. I just put it together and had to figure out from there where the messaging should come from. And the messaging, for those that don't understand it, I'll just tell you, when you're training Olympic weightlifters and power lifters, and you ask them to do something that they don't want to do, you cannot be very nice about it. You have to be straight in their face, and you have to say one or two words that's going to make them do exactly what you want them to do, no questions asked. And that's my messaging.
I mean, that's really, what it's about. We all we all know we need to challenge ourselves to do better, be stronger. And I love that's your brand. I think that one of the things the students really want to know about, though, is how you kind of created the brand and the branding. So why don't we take a second
Okay,
and jump into looking at a little bit of your branding and kind of showing some of
let's
these
go for
students,
it.
what
Show and
that's all
tell.
about. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to let you talk through a little bit of the brand that is AfroBrutality. I'm going to go ahead and get this going. So talk to me a little bit about the lockup. This is your logo lockup for
Yeah.
students. How did you come up with that lockup right there?
This is the fifth or seventh version of my logo. So when I first started, my logo was super detailed. And at the time I was only into shirts. So it was easy. You could silk screen to the detail. When I then started converting it to embroidery for hats, shirts, whatever it is I decided to do, you lost all that detail. So in 2014, a friend of mine who was looking to invest in me said, Syn, I challenge you to come up with a more simplistic logo. I said, what do you mean? A logo that whether you were a mile away, 2 miles away, you'd look at it and you'd say, no, I know exactly what that is. So I had the key elements. The key elements came from when I was a kid. One of my famous comic books was Ghost Rider. And because it came in color and sometimes in black and white, when that flame went up, I didn't always see flame. I saw an afro sometimes, depending on the shading, depending on the way that they depict it. So I just went with that, right? I went with my love of skulls, growing up with nothing but afros around me. My mother had a huge afro. All her college friends had huge afros, and I just put that in as a piece of, the puzzle, a piece of the heritage, and everything else just came in time. And what you're looking at right now is the fifth version, and the version before this was flipped the other way. So it was flipped right side up. This I flipped right side down right around the pandemic last year. I just felt like the entire world was upside down, including my messaging. They weren't understanding what I was saying. So I said, I'm gonna flip it up totally upside down. And then I came up with the lockup.
So now the, talk about now the connection between Puma. We showed the lockup with the Puma cat above it. Now I'm showing the T-shirt, and you're seeing kind of the huge brand message that you're starting to share. You're starting to tell that story of the brand. Talk to me about how you're telling the story now of the brand through this and through some of the things we're going to see later when we look at your activation.
True. So the piece that you're asking about is the Puma on top. So the afros, the reason why my mother and her college friends all had afros, they were in the Black Panthers, or they were in the, African rights, or Marcus Garvey. These types of groups and these types of organizations were around at that time. So the Puma on top, that's what they see, is the Puma. I see a panther, so I see a son of a panther, coexisting and co-branding with a panther company. The only difference between a Puma and a panther is pretty much geographically where they are. They're both theoretically the exact same cat down to the structure of the bones. The difference is the brown or light brown coat that you'll get from what a Puma is, which people consider a mountain lion. And a panther is in Asia and Africa, but they both dwell in the mountains. They just happen to be on separate landscapes, so they're called a different name.
Yeah.
So the messaging on the back, I just started talking about this, right? So powerlifting to the people. What is this? What is this, right? So what I found in my 14 years of fitness is that a lot of these things that we teach in the beginning, when we're first getting started with training, when we're first starting to tell people about different diets and how to lose weight and how to gain muscle, we're using a lot more theoretical than we are actual science. So as you get older, you start realizing that a lot of these things that they're feeding media wise, or even in general health food stores, even in your best health food store, there's still a lot of stuff that's not good for you. There's still a lot of things that, if you ate this on a consistent basis, you'd still gain weight, those types of things. So powerlifting to the people is, let's take all that myth out of fitness. Let's take all of that, you have to live here, you have to go to this college or this school, you have to train with this person or that. Let's take it all out. Let's give them the best training we could to the kids. And that's how we'll start evening the diversity in fitness. We'll give it to the kids, and 5 and 10 years from now, all of this will be leveled out.
I love it, and I think that it speaks to exactly where your brand is going, and in the insights that you're providing. Now I'm showing them one of the ancillary projects that is part of the range of products that you're creating. I know you can't show us everything, but we were able to tease this one out of you so you can show us a little bit of an example of a tech pack.
Yeah.
So this is exclusive to students here. Nobody's seen this stuff yet. So talk to me a little bit about this little tech pack and how it comes together.
We went simple with it, right? So if you know anything about my branding and marketing, you'll know a few things later on as you really get to study me. I'm always teaching you something. I'm just slipping it in. Like, you really don't understand that I'm actually teaching you something. So my branding is very, very like, either you don't know, are you part of that? I tried to make it like hieroglyphics. I tried to make it more about the imagery and the connection of the imagery than I did just talking to people with a bunch of words. So if you notice, my first shirt doesn't even say AfroBrutality. These don't even say AfroBrutality. So unless you know what that logo is, you're like, okay, what is that? Oh, that's AfroBrutality. Now, how did I do that? So that now, again, you associate that with the brand, you associate that imagery with the brand. So that's what I'm doing here.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that what you've done here is just created these little cool products that people are going to want to pick up, and so you're getting them at all levels. You're getting them with the sneaker that will be coming soon. You're getting them with something small that they can just pick up no matter what money they have in their pocket. You're giving them something they can walk away with. And then you've got, of course, some of these other products that you've got. Now, this is another exclusive. You shared with us a little bit of the branding that's going to be a part of the shoe. Tell us a little bit about what we see here with this insole.
Again, a lot more talking with words. Excuse me, with graphics rather than words. So this is a mix up. One thing I did was study as many pairs of Pumas that I could. I wanted to figure out a cool way to bring in something totally different than pay homage somewhere else. So this is a lockup that could be associated to the Public Enemy Pumas that came out, I believe, last year or the year before. They sort of did the Target. They kind of did it a lot more cleaner than I did. I just threw it all bunched together where it looked like you were, standing on stickers. So.
Yeah, but again, it makes it real, and again, the branding is clear throughout. From me seeing this shoe, it's so clear and it's so dope. Can you tell what silhouette that you're building the shoe on? Is that something
It is
Margo?
It's the Fuse.
Yeah,
right.
So
it's the Fuse that I'm building off of. So one thing you'll know as my branding, once you study it and start really understanding it, it's really my thing to mix in my heritage, my culture, the things I love and how I grew up into everything I do. It's like a piece of the puzzle. It's like telling an ongoing story, almost a never ending story.
Yeah. And that, I think that's what's up, and I think that, you're really giving students such a great, entry point, into what you're doing. And so it looks like we got a few questions in here. Let me jump in and let throw in and let some of these students share. I have T Malone says, when you're starting up a business and branding and getting your name out there, do you believe it's better to get started when you're younger versus waiting until you become older in age again? What's your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't put a time limit on that. I would say you start kind of in your 20s, you start recognizing things that are a lot more important to you as you get older. So some of the things that you think are just the most important today, a year from now, you may not even think about it, right? So as you get older, you'll start understanding what's more and more important to you. Is it the money? Is it the family? Is it whatever it is? And you start incorporating that and growing that as you start to grow in your understanding of the business, then you'll find your exact calling. It took me 25 years being in corporate America, but then guess what? Now I get to go into my older years with this. Like, who wouldn't want this? If I had got this at 20, 30 years old, I might have squandered it. I might have went on a Twitter rant, who knows? I might have just totally blew it. But with enough heritage and lockage of what I've built over the last 14 years, I can tell a never-ending story about this stuff in graphics and designs, and people can just study this probably for the next 14 years as well, because there's hundreds and hundreds of designs that y'all have never seen.
I think that's that's such a great question, T Malone. Another one again, which is a relevant question. How do you think that non-Black folks can relate to your work? We got somebody anonymous who asked that. How do you embrace all cultures in your work?
So that's sort of my thing, right? So I don't necessarily think about how I'm going to brand it to people who think like me. I'm like, how am I going to make this cool enough where someone that is not associated with this at all will take a look at it and just give it a peruse, just look at it, probably become a consumer. Because once you get to the story, you're done. Like, it won't matter. What I do supersedes any type of color. That's why I went for the Afro. And that's why I went for the skull. There is no black face on it. There's no white face. There's no red face. It's a skull with an afro. And many cultures are able to do that. Italian, Jewish, black, white, quiet as kept. So it's a universal statement to universal connectivity. And I design and brand based on talking to people that are not like me at all, but try to appeal to them on their level.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's such a great answer, and I think that it is a testament to kind of how you think about your brand and the options that someone has to both have a message that is speaking to culture, but at the same time making it universal enough. Because when I look at your Instagram feeds and I see the people in there who are
Yeah,
connecting, it is
man.
not all African Americans.
Oh
It's
no.
all races, all
Oh,
cultures,
it's
and you'll see
every
that in
India,
the activation we're
Indonesia,
going to look at.
Africa. Yeah, 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 true.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, come on. There, yeah, like you said, so many cultures embraced it. So many cultures have embraced that. And, again, I agree with you 100%. I think that it's dope. The brand is, the logo looks dope. The lockup looks dope. It looks great in multiple mediums. And that's something we're teaching students is put your logo lockup on multiple objects and make sure it works on all of those objects. If it's not working on those objects, you need to be rethinking your brand. You need to be rethinking the lockup. You need to be rethinking how you're going to make that thing pop across multiple objects. If it don't look good on a mug, it's definitely not looking good on a t-shirt. Okay? Like that's how I kind of look at it. Like if if it doesn't look good on a sock, and then it's not going to be flavor on a t-shirt really, or it's going to be dated quickly. So think about if this is your logo. I'm not
Right.
talking about t-shirt specific art. I'm talking about your logo. Your logo needs to look good on anything. You can make very specific art for specific objects, and I think that's the lesson that we should be thinking about. So cool. Let's talk about let's jump into this activation. Before we do that, hey, shout out. We got Manal in the house. We got Patrice in the house. We got Kirk in the house, Chang, we got, Josh, Andrew. Thanks everybody for coming in. I'm going to jump into some one more quick question, and then we're going to talk a little bit about his latest activation and discuss, and talk about what an activation is and how these pop-ups that you're creating happen. But somebody, Francis says, when you're pitching your brand, how did you position the benefit for the partner?
Great question. So, Sun Tzu, right? The art of winning without fighting. So, what you're looking at in this activation is the art of pitching without pitching. I did not pitch them. I did not ask them, hey, can I be a part of it? No, I had built such an incredible presence that it was undeniable that if they were looking for a particular demographic, or if they were looking for something innovative, or if they wanted to take their brand into, let's say, the next generation, there was only one place to go. And that's it. Like, you can't pitch people, man. Let me tell you straight up, don't pitch nobody. Pitch your friends, pitch people in the industry that'll give you 5 minutes of their time, but do not put together a pitch deck and go to Puma. Like, that's not how this is done. This is done in the streets. This is done in your mind, but this is not done in the boardroom. That deal was closed already. What, Yellow Bricks and Sneaker Essentials, what they did for me was change my verbiage so that I understood the verbiage, I understood the mission, and they showed me the entire process of taking a thought idea from a silhouette and turning it into an actual pair of sneakers. That entire process it's priceless. And that's part of why I'm here. Because then it just built up my ability to negotiate this stuff and know what they're talking about and understand what they're looking for. So by the time they came to me, and it was a branding VP of Puma, who through a friend of a friend that said, you know what, this guy said, you got to take a look at him. And they looked and they saw, and we called, and I sent her, I can't remember how much stuff I sent her. I just inundated her with how much content I had, which is something we need to get into as well, is being super prepared, even when there's no money and everyone's telling you you're ridiculous. You got to be super prepared.
Hey, and you know what? I mean, I think that is what you're saying right there is really important. And I think that I think that someone, we've got the anonymous attendee who was like, well, how long did the process of brainstorming to this next thing, this activation, about how long did that take? And then we're going to jump right into showing you how the branding for the activation came together and take you through that activation. But give students an idea of how long the process was.
Okay, so which part? Once Puma called me, or what led up to the Puma call?
Once Puma called you.
Once they called, how long it took?
Yeah.
Okay, so by the time they called me, I was so prepared that we had mock-ups for one shirt, because I have three shirts, the socks, and the sneakers coming out this year. We had the sneaker and the first shirt done in less than a month, because I was like, okay, because they presented to me. They sort of pitched me. let's keep it a buck. They sort of pitched me. They're like, Syn, we want you to be a part of this. So they had the Zoom call. There's like 20 people on it. We saw this. They had a mood board to me. They sent me a mood board. So they had a mood board ready to present to me. And I said, okay, this is good. That's not good. This is that. Boom. And then I finally was able to vibe on something quick, but I know what I'm looking for, right? It's a different conversation if you're going in there trying to convince them of something. When they're convincing you because they see value in what you've already presented, then you're able to go, okay, this, I'm calling all the shots. No one is telling me what to do. I'm calling all these shots because I was super prepared and had too much of a social presence not to do business with me. That's what I hope you're understanding. Like that, it's not about me wowing them. They were already wowed with me, and it just made 100% sense. Like, okay, this guy controls this, he does this. Let's just throw some money at him and let him just continue to do what he's doing. We'll make some on the side. Why not? But if I got to go to them, I've got to convince them of who they got to care who I am. I got to convince them that I'm the next whatever. No. Take your time, become that local hero, get a nice little clique of friends that you can talk with that's going to tell you some real feedback and going to tell you how they really feel. But at the end of the day, you have to be 100% confident of what you're doing, why you're doing it, and that it's the best. You got to believe that, because I tell you, no one can tell me I'm not the best. No one can tell me that I'm not doing better than anyone I've ever met. No one can tell me that. Not because that's some ego-ness. I was super prepared and I put myself in strategic places to make sure I was going to win. And then I was just patient. And things I didn't understand, I learned. And things I needed to learn, I went and found out. And that's how I came to Dave. He saw something there. And now imagine he came to me and I was just on some, I got 100,000 followers. I don't need you, son. What's up? What if I was on that? Then I wouldn't be sitting here. But he saw something. I said, hell yeah. And whatever it is, I figured out how to connect it in. But it's a constant battle really with yourself, your messaging, and to try to find that customer base that's going to buy what you're selling. And it's not, you could get top models on it. That'll sell it for a little while. You can do all the fancy slogans. That'll sell it for a little while. You could do all the fancy new trending designs. That'll sell for a while. But are you doing this to be Ralph Lauren? Or are you doing this to be Cross Colors? Like, what are we doing here? Do you want to be around for a lifetime, a season, or for one reason?
That's what's up. That's what's up. Much knowledge there. Y'all, make sure you guys are really taking notes on this, because, Syn is breaking it down for you in terms of how it really happens. He was prepared. He was ready. When they made the call, they already knew they wanted him. So he didn't have to sell. So, ABC, always be closing, always be ready. So I love that. I love that. Let's jump into.
Stay listening. Yeah. Keep going, please, go.
Yeah, I want to show them the activation, and now we're going to break apart what an activation is. This is an activity we do in sneaker essentials and we do in streetwear essentials. You need to create an activation. You need to know how to now take your brand from objects to a space. So now let's look at a space. So we're going to go ahead. Let me go ahead and let me share the screen, and let's jump into how that happens, and let's talk a little bit about that. So let me share this. Bear with me, folks. So the first thing you're going to see here is a quick sizzle. And again, I hope that you are able to hear this. Let me go back. Hold on, sorry about that. So let's see. We're gonna go ahead and this is just a shot of the sizzle reel. And I'll run that for you guys in a second. But right now, this is just just Syn, where was this shared? You know, can you tell about where the social channels that this, and it is a short video, but where was it shared?
Seconds. On my social media and the flagship store, which is Puma NYC.
So how did you go about getting that made? I'm going to stop sharing for a second, and I'm going to go ahead and try to open it up locally on my desktop just so they can see. It's only a couple seconds, but I think it's a really good example of how someone should be thinking about creating a short sizzle for social. So let's, we'll pull that up. But something like that. How did you go about getting those types of ancillary objects created? Did Puma create it, or did you have somebody on your team create it?
Are we talking? We're talking about.
I'm speaking of the short video sizzle that you shared
okay,
via
so
social.
That was me and Puma. So I did 2 walkthroughs, told them exactly what I wanted, how I wanted to create the store and turn it into like a huge gym, like like an Equinox or something like that. So I told them everything I wanted to move. I showed them exactly where I wanted the mannequins to be, where I wanted the equipment to be. That was a constant back and forth with myself, Puma PR, public relations, their social media team. They told me exactly where it was going to be played, how it was going to be played, almost how often, and we set it up that way. So I walked through, told them exactly what I wanted, knew everything, and it came off without a hitch.
Great. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share that now so that they can actually see this quick little tidbit of branding.
What's up? This is Syn with AfroBrutality. AfroBrutality is more than just a fitness collective or clothing brand. It's a movement. Join us as we celebrate Black History Month at Puma.
So that gives you an idea of, again, how he's pulling together all of his branding, dropping it into short social messages that can be shared. And again, people in the sneaker school, one of your projects is to create a short little sizzle promo. That's a perfect example of how to execute on a sizzle promo for a product. Okay, so again, respect the technique. Syn is breaking it down and giving you. Well,
I had to, it's a new relationship, so I was pulling the guy like, here, come film this, film that, do this, like this is my brand, man. This is my baby. So
that's what's up.
Gotta be done right, man.
So when you walk in, here's Puma HQ. We got a picture up. I think everybody could see that. And you see, tell us about what they saw when they get into Puma HQ. What did you want people to see when they came into Puma HQ?
I wanted them to be, congratulated that they made it to my event. So everyone got at least a pair of sneakers. Some people got a pair of sneakers, some track pants, and some whatever, like hoodies. So I wanted to make it kind of welcoming. Hey, come on in here, grab this for the people that were going to work out and be on camera. I threw them in the fitting room. Downstairs, we had 9 different pieces of equipment that you could run through pretty much in 30 minutes or so. Here's the mannequins right up front. So that you came in, I literally took over the store. So I'm at the front. I got security with me and my own stuff. I've got the mannequins there. Everything, my stuff is everywhere. So I literally was able to shut down the entire store. So right, we got pieces of equipment in between, nice little aisles there right in front of the cash register. Got Selena Gomez right in the back. I mean, branding.
That's what's up. And what I loved about it is they were showing you techniques. And that's something that I thought was extremely brilliant about how you were tying in cross-platform marketing. So yeah, there were people working out. They're showing you techniques for working out using equipment that you have, as well as high-end fitness equipment. Tell me
Absolutely.
about how you're doing that. Like, how are you tying that in? And then you even had a workout on the app.
Yep.
How are you tying in getting people working out while they're at home, where
Well,
they are?
it's trying to take the simplicity out. One thing I realized in these, more high level gyms is everyone just they treat it like it's going to work. So they got like their workout outfit with their spandex or with the this or that or whatever. When I show up just like this. So I could finish a workout literally and go hang out for the rest of the night or go to a meeting or whatever, because I'm not going in there, let's say, to impress anybody. I'm not trying to wear the latest and whatever. I'm trying to wear something that's functional, that I can get through it, feel good in terms of full range of motion, and then I could leave. So that's what I'm pushing. I'm pushing that simplistic of fitness. There'll be some technique there. People will help you if it's necessary, but anyone can do this stuff. It's not that hard. And if you take out the stuff that's, spectacular, and you just focus on the basics, you could be fit for life.
And that's what I love about it. One of the things I also noticed when I put on the Puma Fuse, it has a wider stance than a lot of shoes. And I was like, oh, that's dope. Tell me about how you kind of honed in on the best type of shoe for this particular sport that you're promoting.
Right. So we wanted to come up with something that was like almost what many would consider a cross trainer, but it's more of a hybrid of a cross trainer. So this is lifting weights, and then you can jump on a box, or you can lift weights and run a mile, or you can lift weights and climb a wall, whatever. So this is something that's going to fix that modality. It's a little more in place in terms of the way it's structured. That way you can't break it down easy, once you start doing the agility drills or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, again, that I felt that, and I felt that about it's super stable. It's very, very it holds you in place, even though it's a low top. It's
Right.
holding your foot very much in place,
Yeah.
and so I love that about that design and how it felt when I put it on. And I was like, oh, this is really the truth, and I can tell that you put that ergonomic design into into how you created that, that or chose that silhouette, for your brand. Now, what do we have here?
This is my guy here. This is my security officers. I got two of them. That's Jeremy, and then I got Mike in the back. So, I appeal to all types within fitness. So these are outlaw biker gangs that I used to do shirts for, and they blessed me with the ability to put these patches on anything I wanted. So I came up with a suit for both my security guys, and this is what they wear when they're with me or at any event, and that'll be forever, man.
Yeah, it's real. Again, connections with community, finding these groups that are your affinity groups, that are down with you, ride or die
That's right.
crew that you can call up. That's important. I think you connected with.
That's that build it and they will come. Like everyone thinks they know what their customer is, right? I think I knew who my customer was, but those that showed up, those that showed support and loyalty, I could have never imagined I'd be sitting here, going through a Puma lockup, so to speak, right? Or launch. No one, I could have never imagined this, because they're accepting me as is. I haven't changed anything, nothing, none of my branding, none of my messaging. They've complimented everything I've done, and it's just the type of relationship that can only go forward.
Yeah, yeah. And here, in case anybody was wondering what the shoe looks like, on the bottom right, next to the Y, you can see the
Yeah.
fuse down down on the corner, and you can kind of see that it has this wide stance. And you can see that that it's not a flimsy light shoe, mesh. It's a very, very, very sturdy shoe, and again, but super comfortable. So yeah, big props, for the design and how the design comes together. The toe box is sturdy, so you don't feel like if you drop a weight on it, it's gonna kill your toe.
Right.
So yeah, much respect on that. I felt it was, it's really purpose made for lifting and training, and probably could work as a runner as well if you want to, because it
Yeah,
has enough
short distance,
padding.
nothing crazy, nothing crazy.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about the how do these motivational quotes come into your brand? Because there were motivational quotes that were popping up on the walls, you know, and the screens.
Mhm. So they came into play right where I closed my gym. I closed my gym in Harlem officially in 2015. I had about 263 members at the time. So I sort of displaced all of them and they went to different gyms and stuff like that. So there was little of what I would consider in my heart support, right? For this guy that just changed their lives for several years. So I kind of had to internalize some of that, right? So the motivation was a way to kind of talk about what I was on my mind, talk about what I was dealing with at the time. And I realized as that messaging got deeper and closer to how I was actually feeling day to day, there so happened to be thousands of other people that felt the same way. And I was able to hone in on the type of messaging I wanted to do, where I was still teaching you something that you just couldn't avoid. I was saying things to you just couldn't avoid. You couldn't avoid it. You wanted to, which would make you change the channel or unfollow, but it was just too real. You wanted to be like, oof, man, I better dust myself off with that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I got a couple questions from people. You know, one of the questions was, um, you know, they're asking, you know, how has COVID kind of affected how you brand it? You know, one of the things, I felt very safe in the space when I went in the space. They were doing temperature checks when everyone walked in. People were staying separated. You know, so I you know, but again, what other ways has COVID kind of affected how you're rolling, how you're executing, you know, on projects like this?
Well, I'll tell you, you know, it's a lot of people like myself felt the positive part of COVID for the most part. And I'll tell you, we had talked about for years about starting back up in the park. Oh, let's start back up in the park, Syn. Let's get back in the park, man. Harlem, right? And I was always hesitant. Like, I felt like I was going backwards. Like, going backwards to the park? Like, what are we talking about, man? I did that. But this forced me back into my roots, man. It forced me back out there with with the kids and teaching the football players in the park. So it really got me off my, let's say, egotistical boot-esque and got me back out there, digging at the roots. So, it's been a blessing, man. I see how other people have been affected, but for me, it streamlined a lot of things. A lot of these meetings with Puma, I would have had to fly here, fly there, go here. It's Zoom call, Zoom call. There's 20 of us on there. We're going through the checklists and the agendas. It keeps us efficient in some ways. In a lot of different ways, it's affected me being able to go to every single Puma store and do an in-store. You know what I mean? I kind of had to centralize what I was doing and make it super safe because if I wanted to, I could have packed that place with hundreds of people, and a normal release, I may do that. But, in these particular times, it's really the supporters that are getting us through. It's really those that understand their message and what they really want to do that are making it through. Those that are wish-washy or not sure, they're going to run into trouble every time.
Well, you know, one of the other things someone asked, Michael Porter says, you know, when will the clothing and shoes be available? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump in and I'm going to show your web presences and I'm going to let you talk through the ways that people can kind of get at your brand. So let me go ahead and let me share my screen again, and you should be able to see my screen and tell me a little bit about how people can get at you. Right now we're looking at afrobrutality.com.
Yeah, this is afrobrutality.com. We just released these today. And this is my hand-drawn version of Malcolm X, sort of how I see him. So, he's got the knuckles tattoo and stuff. This is just my branding. It's a heritage mix. It's a flavor mix of things that are important to me.
Yeah. So you've got mad gear available on this. I love that brutal that brutal hoodie. I got that. That's the one. That's the next one I'm picking up. The brutal hoodie is sick. But now let's look at the Puma site. So this is your personal web presence. Now talk to us about what you have available on the Puma site.
So we have February 1st was the first shirt, Powerlifting to the People. June 19th, which is Juneteenth. There'll be two more shirts, sneakers, and then the socks will come. I just signed for another year, so I've got two more sneakers coming out in 2022, hoodie, and I think a few more a few more shirts, socks, and a few other things.
Dope, dope, dope. And you got this great article, looks like in BuzzFeed
Yeah,
too.
anyone that
You know,
wants to get the back heritage of it, it's right here.
yeah,
BuzzFeed
yeah.
did this in 2017. Beautiful piece, man. They just took a chance, saw what I was doing, and featured me. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
You know, again, that takes you back to the roots, you know, it's in the
Right
park,
in the
you
roots,
know.
baby.
You know, that really, I love that about it. And I love you that you give back. You do work with PAL, Police Athletic League.
Yeah.
You're helping
Boys
police
Club.
connect with the
Yep.
community. Like that's real. That's authentic. That's how you connect a brand with authentic roots, you know, and you're doing good, you know, at a time when police really need help connecting with communities, and connecting through fitness is something, hey, you know,
Easy.
everybody
Super
has to
easy.
do that. So,
Super
you know,
easy.
like, I mean, are there any insights that you can give a student who might want to try to do some grassroots projects? Any tips?
You've got to really be about it. So I wouldn't go for something that's trending. I would go for something dated from things that you love, hobbies that you had when you were younger. If you doodled in the back, continue doodling, that sort of thing. Don't try to go with what's hot and trendy. I mean, that's cool for now. I never went with the trend. I always just stayed in my little lane because I knew what I was doing and I believed in what I was doing. And I knew that, whether it was Puma or someone else, someone was going to come to the table.
You know, I love that. I think that, you know, that kind of hits right on Nelson. Nelson asked, you know, was there ever a time when you felt discouraged? You felt like, you know, success wasn't ever going to happen? You know, like what advice would you give Nelson?
Well, Nelson, I'll tell you that that's a constant battle because as you succeed, you know, I came to one point in 2014 where I considered myself super successful. I just signed with Reebok. I had a few other things I was doing in California. And to a certain extent, it all came crashing down when I had to close my gym because there was no kind of headquarters. So I had to kind of get back into my space, get back into my head, and redefine success. Oh, that was successful. This wasn't. So it's a constant check and balance with yourself on what you consider successful to be. Because if you become too successful, you also become unmotivated. You also think, oh, I made it. I can sit back. I can breathe. I can exhale. No, just because I got a Puma deal, I'm working. I'm still up at 5 in the morning. I'm still doing what I got to do. It doesn't matter. That deal could end tomorrow. So it's what I do now that's important. It's what I do every day that's important. And I've got to connect it to a bigger purpose. And I would suggest you do too.
You know, again, you know, words of wisdom. Vedant, you know, asks, besides the Puma collaboration, do you have any other big plans, you know, or something new, you know, that you're pushing forward in the future? You know, what's in the kettle being stirred in Afro brutality, you know, which is brew.
Well, I'll tell you that, if you remember in the beginning, I said that I had a lot of people in my industry that kind of borrow. So you can guarantee if I've got a Puma deal, I've got two other things in the hopper that are much more lucrative than that.
That's, you know, hey, yeah, that's what's up. Got to keep things embargoed sometimes.
Yeah,
Can't give all the juice. So I totally get it. I totally get it. You know, we got another one. Did the partnership, Brandon said, did the partnership with Puma allow you to have full creative control, full creative freedom?
absolutely. Doesn't look like it now, right? When you see those other two shirts in June, you'll know, oh, he's got full creative control. So a little of this is, we kind of put it out there because it's a design. It's not a design, but a tagline that I did about 10, almost 11 years ago. And it sold like hotcakes. So I said, let's get them in. Let's give them this. This is what they want. and we got shoes to, complement a few things. But those other two designs, whew, they're going to be so groundbreaking, man. I can't wait. I can't wait for them for people to be opinionated about them. So it could change a lot of things very quickly. So let's see what happens.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Camille's asking, how did you decide early on about the first print shop? The best print shops to work with. Like, did you have, any advice you can give for somebody when they're trying to find those
Like
print
Camille?
shops?
You say Camille?
Camille, yeah.
Camille, you have to try them all. You gotta try them all. Even the one that I've used for 10 years, they can't do everything. So there's certain things they do good, there's other things they don't. It's a constant thing. I had one for about 12 years, and they went out of business for whatever reason, whether it's their misappropriation or not. But the big thing is to figure out if you can find someone that you can work with. Invoices don't get paid all the time on time. Do they take deposits? See if you can find someone that'll work with you. But in terms of quality, in terms of consistency, you're gonna have to just try everybody and see who specializes in what.
Yeah, again, great advice. Another question we got from Nicholas. He says, "Have you ever thought about producing your own shoes? Any thoughts on how to go about something like that, or do you prefer working with a brand that specializes in shoes?"
Yeah, I'm an owner. I love to own things. I don't want to, I thought about that many times. I was going to go the custom route. There's a lot of different things I was going to do. This is just better, right? There's no guess involved. We're both guessing together and both laying our bets together. Eventually, if the right opportunity presents itself, I would definitely make my own shoe over anyone else's, just so I can do what I want. Not so that, there's a lot of risky things I would want to do that I wouldn't want anyone else to have to take responsibility for. I'll take all the heat for this if this doesn't work. Like, I don't want anyone to have to answer for the decisions I make. And that's why I own everything I do. That's why I create everything I do, so that I can answer for it. Oh, that Syn did that. Okay, that's not Puma did that. No, Syn did that. Go talk to him. Okay, cool. I want to keep it just like that.
That's what's up. Okay, I'm hitting questions. So if you got a question, remember, drop it in Q&A. But Chang is asking, can you share how you worked with Puma when you didn't agree on a vision or a product? Having creative freedom doesn't mean you can do absolutely anything in the world.
That's true. I mean, you got to be strategic. So, I didn't want to do anything totally ridiculous, right? And that's not based on them. That's really based on me. Trust me, I could do whatever I want. The mood board they showed me, they were giving me a lot of autonomy. And I decided, let's go this route. Let's go more of the clean, this type of route, because I've got a whole nother world, and most people know that. But, for the most part, I wanted this to be complementary. I wanted this to be a part of history. I wanted someone to look at the things that I've created 20 years from now and say, wow, man, that happened. That, he did that, and I wanted to be complimentary. I don't want to be that. But I'll give you an example. There's a shirt that's coming out in June that me and that Puma designer, man, we sat for 3 months. 3 months. And they don't actually argue with you, right? They don't argue with you. They just don't necessarily reply to your question. So, because I'm well schooled in this, I'm like, okay, I started to see a pattern. I said, oh, you don't think this is good enough. So then what I do is I start inundating them with other ideas. Okay, well, if that doesn't work, let's go with this. Let's go with this. Let's go with this. And then of course, I'm not going to hear anything. So then I go back to the original idea and said, what about that? Oh, you know what? I just gave that some thought. That is it, Syn, you're a genius. So it's again, it's all strategy at this level. This is strategy. This is not, I'm trying to get likes on Instagram. Like, this is strategy. And if you go into these types of conference rooms or talk to these high-level people and you stutter or you look like you're waiting for them to suggest a bunch of things, they're gonna run all over you.
Yeah.
But when they show me that mood board, I say, okay, that's good, that's not good. Oh, that's it right there. Let's go right there. And I was like, And then they would say this, They would, because there has to be a little bit of convince me, show and prove that this is the best option. So I said, okay, what about this? So we were basically arguing over font, which is ridiculous, right? But at this level, everything's in the details. But we were arguing over one font for 3 months. But I finally did two things. I said, well, you know, if you're not going to do it, man, I'm just going to call someone else to do it. I just want to see what it looks like. And he said, ooh. So he waited a few days. Like I said this to him on like a Friday. By that Monday, that Sunday night Monday, he sent it to me. He said, Syn, it looks incredible. I said, see, don't ever question me again. So there's a little bit of that. There's strategy there. It's a new relationship. So you kind of, you know, I'm not going to necessarily back down on anything, but I am going to be proper on my stance in the way that I address things. It's just strategy at this level. It has nothing to do with you like me or I like you. They see a value proposition. I see a value proposition. I'm going to use their money and their whatever to create more value in their marketplace and mine. It's all value proposition at this level. It has nothing to do with, oh, you know, I got a 500 likes on this post and 200 there. I'm doing a whole bunch. No, it's not. It's analytics. Because if you think for a minute they weren't asking me analytics, they wanted to see, okay, you say I got 110,000 followers. How many are female? How many are male? And I got to know those numbers. Oh, I got 47% women, 53% men. I've got ages 24 to 35. My main demographics is New York City and LA. Like, I've got to know this cold. And they say, well, tell me what your typical demographics are. Okay, well, 25 to 35, as I said, Midwestern, some cases white, some cases Jewish, you know, excuse me, heritage is not that important. Their ethnic background's not that important because it doesn't give you white, black. It really brings it down to gender and also age group. So you got to know these numbers. When I watch Shark Tank, and if y'all are not watching Shark Tank, man, y'all might as well just hang up because you got to go in there and understand how to present your business verbally. You have to understand how to write it and how to spit it in 30 seconds or less. And if you saw that little reel, it was 22 seconds. And you knew that's, okay, AfroBrutality is this, there's the logo. He's working with Puma. Bam.
That's it.
Like
that's what's up.
You got to get to that level.
You're breaking it down, man. And again, this is the science that we're trying to teach you in sneaker school in terms of demographics. You're doing a project where you have to profile somebody. We're not asking you to profile every gender. We're asking you to pick that one target audience, you know, and that's what Syn is saying. He knew exactly who his target audience was. Yes, it might have different elements, but he knew who his target market was, and that's what helped them to understand that he knew what he was talking about, right. And he knew his market. And so that's important. Don't be, you know, for the profile activity, I don't want to see 5 different, you know, male, female, lives in Texas. No, pick one.
Pick one.
You got to be able to tell them that target market, not target market.
Now, here's 2 things you got to understand. There is a difference between your target market and your ideal target market.
Yes.
Now that's where I'm at. So I'm using Puma's influence, my designs, their backing to get into my ideal demographic or customer that I want to market to. And that's why we're here. I want to market to y'all, but I've got to teach you so much so fast that I'm just going to confuse you and make you read everything just to figure it out. And just to make sure you read it, I'm going to code it again. So if you notice, right when I got the Puma deal, I flipped the logo upside down. Everyone's like, why the hell did you do that? So that you would recognize that I did that and start talking about it.
That's it. Starting conversations. That's exactly it. You need
Conversation
to
started.
start conversations with your brand. And I love it. And he's got a story. Hear it. There's a science, there's a story that the Syn is providing you. So you guys really, please take notes on this. I know we're in the last couple minutes. I'm gonna get one more question in for him since I got one more minute. Okay. And remember, please support Syn. Okay. We have something, he has something right now on the Puma store. So support one of your sneaker students. You know,
Don't feel no pressure to support.
no pressure, but I'm just saying,
Realize
feel the
you
love.
got, you're in at the starting level. If 10 years from now, I'm Jay-Z with billions of dollars, remember, you had the chance to buy the first shirt.
So shout out, somebody's asking, shout out your social media pages so that they know where to follow you and know who you are. Trey, thank you for asking that. You know, you want to tell us about how they can find you?
Yeah, AfroBrutality on Instagram, Mr.Syn, which is Syn on Instagram, and of course, AfroBrutality.com.
There it is. So, you know, again, thank you so much for coming in and blessing our students with your knowledge, insights, your message, your story. You know, again, we're hearing it from somebody who actually did it. You all see somebody right here who can tell you how it goes. You can hit him up on IG and he'll respond if he can. You know, so please,
don't
reach
ask
out.
many unless you're paying.
There it is. Hey, thank you, brother. We're gonna go ahead and jump off. I mean, I think that right now, we're in the last few minutes. Do we have time for another question, Kristen? What's our timing looking like in terms of that? I think we can fit one more in. You give me one more, Syn. Give me one more. I'm going down to the bottom of the list in the questions because one of the people here asks, what is I'm not sure what they mean by this, but I think they're saying, what is your ideal marketplace? Like, where do you feel that your brand sits best? What are your thoughts on that?
Like ideal for me, or
yeah,
actually
I would say
right
web-based. Do you feel physical store is a better marketplace for your object? Again, because they didn't explain that. That's what
rotating. I think. Yeah. Mine is more like pop-ups and damn near coffee trucks. Like mine's better on the move. Okay. If it's staying stationary, it'll just, it'll get familiar. Mine should be constantly moving, evolving, changing locations all the time.
Great. Final words of wisdom you got for the students here. Any thoughts?
Listen, I'm somebody. Don't get me right. Jesse Jackson told me I'm somebody, right? But you can do this on your own, man. You just have to make sure that what you're doing is not trending. Try to find something that's absolutely not trending. Go where no one is going. Do what no one is doing. Say what no one is saying. Not to just be contrary, but find some value there and attach it to something that makes sense to you, and then move forward and try to find other people that will go with you and support you. But you've got to have at least something, one thing. It doesn't have to be a ton, just one thing that you can think about that makes sense, that you can brand for the rest of your life, not for a season, but for something that has a legitimate reason.
Hey, thank you, brother. I'm Dave Grandison, Director of Instructional Design at Yellow Brick. Thank you all for coming in to this webinar and letting me talk to one of my first student stars, who's blowing up. Thank you so much, Syn, for coming in. Syn at AfroBrutality on IG and across pretty much all channels. Follow him, support, and thank you. And we're out. Thanks. One.
Am I leaving? Are you leaving? Or
yes.